Well, the little sheep have gone to Children's Chapel along with the magi. I don't think the camels quite fit in there, but they're all celebrating this beautiful, spectacular Epiphany with us together. Now, I love the animated film, The Lion King. And it seems to me it gets better with every viewing. The visuals are stunning, the music is great, and it is filled with beautiful life lessons as we watch the tender-hearted Simba struggle with the loss of his father Mufasa, and then he grows in wisdom and in courage. Parishioner Grace Newsom, a couple of years ago, accompanied some middle school teens to a trip in the Southwest, and it was a big adventure. To encourage them to have the spirit of young lions filled with courage, ready to scale the great rocks of the canyons of the West, this somewhat while reserved and reflective Grace Newsom suddenly stood up on a rock in a canyon and proudly began singing. And like Simba's father in The Lion King, she began to chant from the opening song. Nan sabenya babagite baba. And the students replied, oh, and that was the start of a beautiful adventure. You see, the kids knew that Grace had spoken with courage from her voice and from her heart. And with that, she had created a circle of love, and everyone grew together in courage. Well, today, as we begin our series, Courageous Living, we are going to ask, what is courage, and why do we love it so much? And of course, courage has a very long and noble history from the ancient Greek philosophers onto Jesus and beyond. As a major virtue, along with wisdom and justice and moderation, courage defines what it means to be an excellent person and to live a good life. So you see, courage is no mere optional trait. And that's why courage and living courageously is so important. Yes, as Simba learned from his father in The Lion King, courage and fear always goes hand in hand. Because his father tells him that courage is doing something that you are scared of, despite your fear. And what if courage does not always come with a big, frightening roar? What if courage is more like quietly stepping out of our comfort zone by taking small steps into something unfamiliar and new? I think that's a beautiful definition of courage. And today, as we celebrate the Epiphany, the showing of God's light in our world, I see several acts of courage in the story of the Magi, who follow a star to find the Christ child. First, the Magi step out of their everyday lives and courageously begin a new journey. Following only a star and their mystical intuition, they traverse foreign powers and territories to meet the Christ child, the one that they name the newborn King. The Magi show us that courage begins by stepping out of our comfort zone into the unfamiliar, and that is something that we can practice every single day. Secondly, the Magi offer gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to Jesus, and yet as a first gesture, they give themselves, heart and soul, to the child in worship. Our gospel says that they knelt down before him and paid him homage. The Greek suggests that they prostrate themselves, that they lie on the ground with their heads facing down as an act of reverence to the baby Jesus. In joy and in wonder, the Magi open their hearts to the child in worship. This vulnerability of heart is a tremendously courageous act of love. Brené Brown, who researches courage and vulnerability, reminds us the Latin root for courage is heart. And in its earliest forms, the word courage had a very different definition. Courage, according to Brown, originally meant to speak authentically by revealing one's heart. And today, we often equate courage with great heroic action. And we do need heroes, but speaking one's mind and sharing one's heart and revealing who we are and the impact of our experiences, both good and bad, that is the definition of courage. Heroics, says Brown, is putting one's life on the line. Courage is putting one's vulnerability on the line. And that is what the Magi did when they physically worshiped the baby Jesus. They put their vulnerability on the line in the presence of Jesus, God's love made visible for us. And my friends, this is also our courageous call to be present and open in worship, to open our hearts to each other and to God as we worship together here at Christ Church Cathedral. And lastly, the Magi also exhibit great courage when they go against the order of King Herod. Trusting in the message that they received in a dream that Herod was out to harm the baby Jesus, the Magi courageously left home by another way, even though they were surely felt fear along the way, but they decided to go home by another road. So the Magi show us that it takes courage to follow our dreams and the longings of our hearts, and that's why this festival of Epiphany is often called the Festival for Dreamers, for children and for the young at heart who dare to dream and live courageously. Our children often exhibit daily acts of great bravery and courage. Yes, when they rescue a cat from the tree, or they ride their bikes home when it's getting dark, or they stand up to a child who is bullying their friend. Because as every child learns, when you have the back of your friend, everyone grows in courage together. Epiphany is for courageous dreamers. As the author John Westerfeld observes, who else but imaginative and naive and mad magicians could envision such a journey to go in search of a child who will build a kingdom on love alone, an infant king who will bring us new life, who will receive our death eternally, and whose kingdom belongs not to the mighty and powerful, but to those in need. This visionary quest of Epiphany is for dreamers, those who yearn for God's new world of justice and love and peace. In Epiphany, we celebrate that the light of Christ allows us to see the world differently, even when we are afraid, and it inspires us to shine the light of Christ out into the world. Now, you may have seen that classic commercial for Apple, Think Different. The commercial features photos of iconic thinkers, Albert Einstein, Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, and artists like Bob Dylan and John Lennon. And a voiceover says, "Here's to the crazy ones, the rebels, the troublemakers, the ones who see things differently. Some may see them as crazy ones, but we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. So today, my friends, we begin a journey of courageous living. So I wonder, what will your first step be, and what will mine be? Because together, we have many gifts to offer. So I can't wait to see where God leads us. So be of good courage and happy and blessed Epiphany. Amen.